Yeah, you must have frozen internet down there.
No, I was in the lobby and I was finishing up on a CNC project. I walked over here, sat down, and about the time I sat down, everything froze. And all of a sudden it popped up, no internet available. And I'm like, oh, Lord. And it was like literally 6:58. And so I called Brandy. I'm like, hey, is it just me or is there an internet outage? And she's like, nope, it's not working in here either. So I ran in the house real quick and just power cycled everything and get it back online. I don't know. Am I on? Ooh, I think I'm on the Wi-Fi out here right now because I was desperate. I was fixing to throw my hotspot up on my phone, but
All right,
whew, I got
well, I
good
was
Wi-Fi.
about to hit that live button without you, but we're here. We're both here for now.
Yeah, thank goodness I made it. Sorry for the delay, guys. I was in here and then all of a sudden I wasn't. So,
Yeah.
um, kind of a little scare there. Whew. But
Well, I gotta imagine, at least our U.S. folks, that cold spell is dipping down to. I think even Florida is pretty chilly now, and when Florida gets chilly, the rest of us are. So,
yeah,
um,
well, luckily it's not hit here like too bad right now, but it's not warm either.
yeah. So, uh, so yeah, I'm out. I'm actually out here. I've been trying to keep it warm out here, um, which means I'm not venting any air outside. Not running the lasers out here. That's for sure. Because yeah, it's a chilly. We went below zero. I don't know. Yesterday morning. I don't know. I don't remember when. We're not going to be above zero till Tuesday afternoon.
Mm.
Um,
See,
and
I'd
then we're
just
gonna.
be I'd have a like a moving truck in front of my house right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're. I don't know. It's a beautiful state, but it does get cold at times. But you know what? In the long term forecast for the end of January is well above normal, so we'll see how that turns out. But
Yeah, Brian's wanting to know what the temperature is, so give me a second. Echo, what's the temperature outside?
Right now, it's 46 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sweet
Tonight,
46.
expect a low of 32 degrees.
It's supposed to drop to 32 once the sun goes down. So, oh, there's Brandy telling me I got Echo. I got Echo for. She was in here today, and
yes,
I was working on something, and I asked her a question. It was math, and she was just like doing the math in her head, and I asked Echo real quick, and he popped it right back, and I was like, that's why I got Echo. He does math, and she's like, he does it real fast too. I was like, that's right.
nice.
But
But
it's
yeah,
supposed to be like 19 tomorrow.
so I mean we've got these low temps, but then it's been windy as well. So of course the wind chill knocks it down even further. I know I've teased the idea of if it got this cold of dropping a laser outside. Everybody asks how cold can you run them in. Obviously, I'm not going to run a CO2 out there, but it'd be interesting to take you know, maybe take my original X Tool 10 watt or something and set it outside and run a couple jobs and
Use an
just
old one just in case.
see what comes of it. But it's still windy, and when they talk about frostbite in 5 minutes or less, I'm like, yeah, maybe not. so
Yeah.
so I've
Now,
been
see,
working on other projects.
all y'all folks with the minuses in front of the temperature, that's why I live in Alabama, not where you're at. Because I would die. I can't handle it up there.
Yeah,
So,
but you know what else dies? All the nasty bugs and those most of the poisonous reptiles.
hey, I'll have to just
We
keep the
don't have
ticks and
earthquakes,
stuff.
gators.
I just have to keep it. I can't help it. Oh, I just. Mm, whew, no thanks. I can't handle it. Me and Brandy both have come to the conclusion that if we come to visit you, if we wanted to see snow, would be the only reason we would come when it was cold. But we're gonna have to be really
Yeah.
desperate for snow
Well,
for that.
um, yeah, if you want to see snow, swing through the Rocky Mountains in summer, and you'll still get to see snow, unless you want to see it actively falling.
Yeah, well, I've been north when it snowed and up in New York, and that was enough for me. But anyway, well, Hectic Cuts has a question, and we'll start it off with this one. Want to know what's the difference between a CO2 versus a Galvo CO2 versus a fiber laser? Well, since you're the technical guy, would you like to explain this one, and then if I need to, I can give them the Cliff Notes version.
Uh, well, so I guess we can break this down into a couple parts. You got a CO2 laser, which that's basically the style of forming the beam and the type of wavelength that it has. And so different wavelengths are going to interact with different types of materials. So your CO2 is way up there, like 10,000 some odd nanometers generally, and it's great for natural materials, some stone, but also can interact with clear acrylics and glass without a binder and such. When you add in a galvo or a galvanometer, and that what that is basically a series, usually two or more mirrors that are taking that beam and bouncing around instead of having other moving parts such as a gantry. You have that head that moves the beam around, and you know it's usually on a smaller work area, but it can go very very fast. And then a fiber laser, again, that's the type of material that's creating your fiber beam. That's 1064 nanometer wavelength, and that is good for ablating metal, working with some acrylics and such, but does not work well with most natural materials like wood and leather and things like that. So, it, a couple different things there as far as what's forming the beam, and then also how is the beam being um, directed to the material. So a fiber laser can also be a galvo, but it can also be a gantry style, things like that. Hopefully that
Yeah,
answers it. You can add in
yeah.
whatever you want.
Hey, yeah, that's it. Well, basically, to keep it simple in terms, the two different methods of moving a laser are the galvo, like you said, the galvanometer, which is basically a mirror that moves really, really fast and just directs it based on the movement of the mirror. Uh, and then you have the what I would call the gantry design, which is either going to be belt driven ball screws, whatever the case may be, which actually has a gantry that moves back and forth, left to right, and some up and down on the z axis. And then the other big difference, like you said, is the wavelength of the beam being emitted is going to decide how you can have you can have a blue diode, a fiber, or CO2. You can have any one of them in the format of like a gantry design or a galvo. That's like I said, the wavelengths is different, but yeah, that you pretty much nailed it. I mean, that was like textbook, almost like I Wikipedia did or something. But the biggest main difference from a user standpoint is you're not going to get a very, very big work area out of a galvo as you can with a gantry based machine, because you're actually moving the laser module around instead of just trying to cast that beam across a larger area. Galvos can tend to also depreciate their power further from the center of the workspace they get because of the way that beam's being directed. As the angle changes, you have a little more reflectivity than you do coming straight down. So
Yeah,
it's
the further out you get, you're going to get more of an angle to your cuts as well, and you can't necessarily work with air assist as easy. So they're very great at engraving, but not as good at cutting.
yeah. All right. Let's see who's it got. Well, Brian. That was a Dave quiz.
So AGT Restorer. Apparently, he bought my fireplace file and said it worked out really cool for him, and appreciate that. Love the feedback I get between people posting on various groups as well as leaving reviews with photos on there. So I put it out there. It was a fun thing to play around with, and love seeing what people are doing with it. Some people are adding extra details and having fun with it, and that's why I do it. So.
I don't know if anybody else is noticing that my lights behind me are flashing off and on. They're not flashing off and on. I'm not sure what's going on with this camera.
Really?
They're solid, but they're flashing, and I
Oh,
don't I don't know why it's doing it. I got everything set to manual, so
you've got
I don't get it. See,
Got gremlins, huh?
maybe it's
Well,
the
it's
brightness.
just some nice ambiance.
Well, they're bothering me because they're pulsing. Like they'll be, look at them, there they go. They're actually still
I
on.
All right, everybody raise their hands who noticed it before David said anything, because
I
I
noticed it.
didn't.
I noticed it. If I do auto exposure, I wonder if that'll fix it. I wonder if it'll quit doing that.
Well, while you're doing that, um, Dave is
It's,
asking, what is a good camera to have in his enclosure that won't break the bank? And I will pull up a link. There's the ones that both David and I use.
is that the fisheye board
Yeah.
cam?
So it, you want to make sure you have about 18 inches, give or
Yeah,
take, a little bit to,
that's really dependent on
um,
your work area. If you got a
yeah,
smaller
it's going
work
to depend
area,
on your
you can
work
come
area.
lower.
And I've seen some where you can get a little bit closer, but you want to try to have a good 18 inches above your working area to capture this. And so I'm gonna drop a link, and it'll probably crash everything. But
Hey,
there's on Amazon. It's about $45, and you're gonna need to work out a mount for it. I think you've got your files out for that somewhere, right?
yeah, I've got laser files. That's like little boxes that you can put together, as well as a 3D printable one. Also in my Etsy shop. The little laser files are pretty cool because you don't have to have a 3D printer. You just need some plywood, some like 4 or 5 millimeter plywood. If you do have to resize the slots, there's not that many because it's literally like a 2.5 by 2.5 each box, so it's really easy to do. But that's the camera. Matter of fact, that's the camera that I have in that enclosure that you're looking at right there. Now you're looking through a piece of laser glass on that one, and I also have that camera in enclosure Zilla there, and I run that camera as well as my Lightburn camera. I've got two of them in there. Both of these are using my 3D printed mount. So,
So yeah, that's
well, I
probably the
think I,
most
I think I got my lights
inexpensive one that
fixed.
works.
I don't know how turning on auto something kept them from flashing, but I turned auto exposure on and it's stopped it.
So, as far as the bare bones camera, that one works really well. You will have to figure out your mounting for it. Um, Outside of that, there are some of the options that both Clack and I have looked at from I think originally one of the ones we looked at was the Comgrow, and then the Atom Stack, IKEA, and
Sculpt foam.
well, I mean, I was just gonna say Atom Stack, IKEA, and I think Wismaker all basically have the same rebranded camera with the
Mm-hmm.
multiple flexibilities. It's not it's a nice flexible mount for where you put it, but it can have some rigidity issues. And then the Sculpt Fun one is kind of in between those where it's fairly rigid. And those all have different brackets and such, but this one, just the camera itself, works pretty well to as long as you have a way to mount it.
Yeah, and if you got a 3D printer and you download that file, you can just keep printing yourself mounts, and you can put them all over the place.
Well, you
I
still got to
have
have a
the
place to mount the mount to.
Yeah, but most folks are going to be using an enclosure or either have it like, I mean, you could technically mount it to the wall if your machine's up next to a wall
Hmm.
and you don't use an enclosure. I mean, but
Yeah.
it does need a nice solid place to be mounted to that's not going to be moving. Uh, and Klein's pointing out too that he uses the same cameras, and he's got two enclosures up there now, and he's running the same cameras because he got them over here. I referred him to those cameras, and so he likes them as well. The one in enclosure Zilla, I took my time when I set all that up, and I really did everything to get the calibration as close as I could, and it's been being dead on here lately. I don't want to jinx myself, but it's been doing a really good job. I think I got my lights issue fixed. So
Yeah, they don't seem to be flashing. So, Soaking Rays is asking, how do you convert a Lightburn file to use in XCS? And so the easiest way is just to export it as an SVG.
yeah,
Um, so do all your design in Lightburn, export it as SVG, then you can import it, in XCS, and then you'll have to apply your various, and it'll even import layers that way. So if you want to go into Lightburn and say, put them on different layers. The information won't necessarily transfer with it, but you can then click on the various layers and then apply your priority or properties for the cut or line or score and or no, it's score, engrave, and cut in XCS. So
Yeah. God, Chris, it wasn't the auto exposure. I turned auto exposure on and it quit doing it. So I don't, unless the switch is backwards in the software. Mike said he got your lenses and it said that they look great and the instruction sheet was a bonus. And the little tool. You get the little tool too, don't you?
yeah, I 3D print up some tools. They can help with removing. Sometimes you can use it both for removing the end cap from the laser, and also if you have one of the older ones that have the brass ring on the inside, it'll help unscrew that. But you gotta loosen them up first. So if you're those 3D printed tools will only do so much.
Yeah. Hectic's wanting to know about lead generation and how you go about that. Do you want to take that part? You want me to? How you want to work that?
Uh, well, uh, my best advice on this is, I guess first off, make sure you know your laser well, know what you can do with it. I see the mistake of too many people where they know a laser can do something, but they've never done it with theirs, and all of a sudden they've got an order, and now they're asking people, "How do I do this?" So spend some time, make sure you're comfortable with your laser, and then in all that practice stuff, build up a portfolio and be thinking of things that would work well as demonstration pieces. So, maybe some slate coasters, maybe some engraved cutting boards, charcuterie boards, maybe a simple, sign or something like that. Um, and with that, also, I would you know, ask groups like this what things have worked for them, but do a little research in your area, what people like. Um, Various areas things go really well, and 20 miles away it might not, or across the country it might not. So, got to do a little bit of research. But my biggest thing is have a bit of a portfolio that you can have some examples. You don't want to bring too many in and overwhelm a person, but maybe start if you don't have like an Instagram page or your Facebook page, and just start posting pictures of things you can do, and what and then you can refer people back to that. Bring in a few, but you can also say, hey, I also have my page here, either it's in Instagram or Facebook. Take a look through there, and there's good examples of the things I can do. After that, think of it as advertising dollars. Give yourself a budget and say, I'm going to give away X amount of stuff to try to drum up some leads, and don't be afraid to walk into a business with something made up for them or whatnot, and say, hey, this is what I do. I wanted to give you this gift, and if you're interested in more, but you got to think about it as you're going to spend some money to make those. So, just plan a budget for you as far as samples, and then start going through the list of local businesses that that you think might work well. But
Well, in a small town, and like I said, what works here may not work everybody else, everywhere else, just like what Steve said. But one of the first places that I would say start is like it's kind of like what Brandy said, and this is kind of basically was my business model starting out is get plugged into the community. Like if you got a chamber of commerce or some type of merchant organization, like we have the chamber of commerce, and then we have a local merchants organization, which is made up of basically small business owners that work together to help each other try to build their business. Because small businesses that are on a budget, if you're a hobbyist trying to transfer into doing this as a side job or maybe trying to start a business, small businesses that you can negotiate with, and maybe they have a product or a service that you want, and then you have something they want, you can barter to get stuff going. And once people learn what you do, what you're capable of, and your products, then they'll come to you and say, "Hey, we were thinking about doing a new sign for our restaurant, or we want these engraved for our restaurant, or we want these engraved for our bar, like coasters." I mean, they use coasters most of the time in bars. A lot of times they use cork, they use wood, they use cloth sometimes, 3D printed. Not 3D printed, but what do they call that? The sublimation and stuff like that. They use all kinds of stuff. So just get to know these business owners. They'll try to help you, and then in return you try to help them. It's just like last week. I sent Steve some pictures. I was at one of the shops in Clanton that he does sign printing, and he just got his brand new Thunderbolt in. They've been working in Corel Draw for 15 years, and now they're having to learn Lightburn. And so I went in, and even though he's a laser business, I went in, helped him, helped the lady that runs the machine, kind of show her the ropes and show her what to do, how to get it set up and going. But they send me work because they're busy doing big production stuff, like 50, 100 at a time. So if you come in wanting one thing engraved, they have to shut down what they're doing to do it. So a lot of times they'll send work to me, or I'll send it to client or whatever. So those places, just because you think they may be your competition, they're not. And it's just like people all the time asking client, why's client let you do this work? He's going to get mad at you or whatever. I've helped him get in business. I've helped him start his business. And it's because there is no such thing as competition. The more laser engraved stuff people see, even if client does it and somebody sees it and they say, hey, I saw this thing the other day, where can I get one of those? Well, if that person knows me but doesn't know Klein, they're going to send them to me. So don't think of it as competing with these other businesses. There are lots of like realtors, home builders, home remodelers, boutiques. I don't know if y'all got boutiques like we got boutiques, but they like everything to have their name and initials or whatever on it. Those are big sellers. Venues, if you can get hooked up in with venues, because we got a lot of those. People have weddings, anniversaries, graduation parties, quinceañeras, or whatever they're having. They like custom made things to give to people who are important, or give it to the people who they're throwing the event for. So you got to get out there and figure out what people want. Because once you figure out what people want, then you just got to figure out how you can provide it, or if you can provide it. And if you can't, then you may have to change the way you do stuff in order to provide it. So it's a never ending. This could be like an all day video talking about that, but get plugged in with the local businesses, because I'm telling you, I do a lot of business with other businesses, more than I do with other people, to be honest with you, with the public. Because other businesses, when they order, they're going to order a bunch. Y'all know I'm friends with May. May orders a bunch of stuff from me, whether it's just cut out little shapes and stars for crafters, or whether it's a box or inked in or whatever. She'll order 150 is the smallest order she'll send me. So, and then I've got Clayton Homes. I do like a whole bunch of stove covers for them every year, like thousands of dollars a year. So, that's another business. And then I've had realtors and everybody else ask me if I wanted to take them on, but just got to get out there, hustle, and do some, just like Free Steve said, freebies are great. And I'll tell you another thing. Like, I don't want to break it, but this thing has bowls on it. This right here, me and Brandy's been working on this. This is like a serving tray, basically for Ritz crackers, they're called crackers. The little round crackers, and then you have dip of whatever, and the bowls sit in these recesses. I've made a whole set. I've got this. I've got a egg holder. I've got like a counter saver for a skillet. That's going to come with a skillet. This is going to come with bowls. And this is, by the way, this is magnolia, and I didn't do nothing to that. That is its natural engraved color. But I make things, and they auction them off at this local auction fundraiser they do for the Child Advocacy Center here in town. And even though I'm not getting paid nothing for this is just a donation to the cause, they're going to bid on it. Like last year, I think a set of lamps that I made, like wooden lamps, I think they wound up going for like $200 something. So, but when somebody sees that and bids on it and don't win it, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go, where'd that come from? Well, if they're really slick and they're looking at it, they're going to know where it come from. So I may wind up selling 10 sets of this, or just one piece, by donating that to this auction, because all the people that are going to be in there bidding on this stuff are going to walk around and they're going to touch it, feel it, look at it, and decide that they want one. And when they get beat on the bid, they're going to know where to come get one. So that helps too. And this is my second year doing that here in town. That's why if you go to Clanton and you ask somebody about getting something lasered, pretty sure they would send you to me or CNC Trophy, because like that's the only two people in town that people to talk about. So just get your name out there, whatever you have to do, and hustle. And don't expect it to happen overnight, please. You'll be disappointed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is that if you've got a bit of an established business, it's easier sometimes to reach out to get those bigger orders. But don't be afraid of. I mean, don't shortchange yourself on your orders, but don't be afraid of getting those smaller individual ones, because sometimes that's some of the best networking as well. Is that you that tray is going to go to someone's house and someone's going to see it and they're going to want it, and they might not have been at the auction. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's word of mouth will get you a long ways. And I will tell you this: start on Facebook. Start a Facebook page. Klein is my test guinea pig, and I think I saw him comment somewhere a while ago. Klein basically for the past little over a year has been doing what I tell all you guys to do. Get your name out there. Now he lives in a small town just north of Clanton, Thorsby. He's got everybody in Thorsby coming to him. Like he's getting jobs every weekend to do. So, and he's just now getting started. The first 6 months or so, you can ask him, it was all expense, expense, expense. But now it's got to where he's actually got more money coming in than what he's spending on it. So he's starting to go over that rise of, it becoming a money pit to it's actually starting to make him back some money, because you gotta take a little bit of a loss in the beginning, unless you're just really, really, really lucky or skilled. ET's asking, he says he had a 20 watt and with using their air assist pump and he's cracking lenses. Two questions, ET. One, verify that the air pump is not obstructed. That I think doesn't that have a filter in it? I haven't taken one apart yet.
yeah, most of them do have a bit of a filter, and over time they can get clogged up, and then they're not moving much air.
Yeah, so you may want to take it apart and check, make sure that the air intake filter is probably just going to be just a little piece of felt or whatever, but make sure that it's not obstructed, and make sure you're getting plenty of airflow through it, because it does sound like what you're having is either going to be a result of not enough air pressure or too much smoke in the enclosure. So I would look at checking the air pump, make sure that it's working the way it's supposed to, and if that doesn't fix it, just kind of watch the smoke flow and make sure you're getting enough flow through there to keep your machine from basically just breathing all that nasty air. So, but that would be my recommendations. I had a P20 and I've run one for over a year. And when I started having problems with the lenses, I was getting water in my air. But you would have similar results if you had too much smoke and stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Friend did not use any, so dust got on the lens. Yeah, I run air assist all the time, guys. It causes you to have to do a little bit of sanding, but if you just get you a random orbital sander and some 120 or 220 grit sandpaper, it's nothing to touch those things up when you get done with them. You don't want to go too aggressive with the sandpaper, not with Luan or any kind of plywood, especially. Another person saying he's got your lenses. Russ said they work great.
Good to hear. We got Patrick here thanking us and everybody that was here New Year's. We hopped over to join him on his live stream afterwards, and he had a good couple of couple hours after us, and so yeah, David and I, it's the rising tide raises all ships, and so we want to be part of helping out others. And not be it as a competition. We can all help each other out. So Patrick's a good guy. He's got a lot of cool stuff. If you want to find out more about playing with Galvo and fiber lasers, he's been doing a lot with that. He's got a really cool knife he just did. So definitely check him out as well. So thanks, Patrick, for being here as well. Always good to see you. So, yeah, Robert's asking how you're liking the P2.
Well, I haven't done a full-blown video on it yet, guys, because I've been busy. Like, I got hit with the P2 and the 6050 all in the same week. Y'all know I was cramming last week trying to get my table built. So I've been bouncing between the two. Uh, but I've been using the P2 to make some stuff and cut some acrylic and kind of engineer and everything. I did a couple of the birds with the P2. I was gonna do this with the P2, but unfortunately, I do a lot of large things, and I couldn't get the whole thing in the camera view. So I wound up just throwing it in ClosureZilla, using the drop bed and doing it in there. But I did do a speed test on the Magnolia with it, and the machines, I like it. It's doing a good job. I kind of feel like it's going to be my go-to for things that fit in the workspace on a lot of stuff. The camera setup is phenomenal. I don't know why they didn't do that to the S1. Uh, the 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 fact that I can actually take a piece of material, put it in there, and if I don't cut all the way through it, I've done it 3 times so far because I keep trying it just to see if I can do it. Every time I mess up and use the wrong power settings, I can put it back in there, and as long as I have it square when I put it back in there, I've been able to use the camera and go back through the same line or really, really, really close. So I love the camera. I love the close view on it. The 55 watts it's very stout. So far I'm impressed. I haven't done a lot, like a whole lot with it yet, but I can tell you from what I've seen so far, it's a good machine. Now, I hope I don't have to work on it because that thing, like Steve has told me before, everything's crammed in there. So I hope there's no problems that I don't have to work on it because it is a very tight built machine. It's very heavy. You're not going to want to be walking around with it. I would not recommend putting it on a roll around cart unless you have like 500 pounds counterweight in the bottom. But it is a very, very cool CO2 machine. It does a great job with acrylic, and I've got a test or two. Y'all probably saw it when I did the unboxing, but it's doing a really good job on acrylic. I did go the other day. My payment for helping my buddy out over at CNC the other day, set his machine up, was, let me find it. Hang on. I'll show you. And I'm saving it for a project video. Well, this is not it. What did I do with it? Uh-oh. Hang on.
Oh, you hit it really well.
I had a rag laying on top of it. But when I was over there, he's like, hey, how much I owe you for helping me get this machine going? And I was like, well, since you mentioned it, I'd like one of those award acrylic things you have that you buy in bulk. So I have this guy. It's really cool looking piece of acrylic. And I'm going to do some speed testing because I've got another piece of it over there. We'll do some speed testing. And I'm going to make myself, I don't know, an award or something. But it's a really thick piece of some type of lasierable acrylic. And I'm gonna make that into a project video. So, but yeah, that was bartering for helping him fix Lightburn. And I know, guys, I worked cheap that day, but he's a friend of mine. So, but yeah, got this one.
Very cool. It'll be fun to see what you do with that.
Yeah, I just got to get caught up enough to do it. But
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that I had been missing out on. It was acrylics. And even though I had figured out how to cut some colors and cut them really well, it's nice not to worry about what color it is no more. And it's leaps and bounds beyond the M50 or the M40. I'm just, no offense. Brady said I can make her Employee of the Month award. Just give it to her every month.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you mentioned it's not something you're going to move around a lot, and that's true. Even just moving it from one workbench to another, and I've got mine so where they can roll, is a bit of a chore. With it being this cold up here, there is the concern of my shop out here getting too cold. So I've been running extra heat and leaving it on because that helps warm it up, and moving water isn't as likely to freeze just in case. Otherwise, yeah, I would try to maybe take it inside, or like my bigger one, I could just drain it out fairly easily. But this one is, like you mentioned, it's not, everything is so compact into that kind of desktop unit. It's going to be hard to work on. And, even just draining the tube isn't as simple as it is on others. So, but yeah, I'll be doing more with mine. I also dropped a little teaser. I've been super busy with with work this week, semester startup and such. I just didn't get a lot of time to do things. But the S1, the 40-watt S1 did show up at my place, so I've been doing some playing with that as well. So now both you and I will be able to compare notes on the two.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is the most expensive laser by far I've ever had in the shop. And as far as power output, right now it's the boss as far as power. Uh, because I got the 48, then I got was it a 50, I think it's a 55, isn't it? Yeah, 55 watt. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more work with it and using it in some real world jobs. Me and you had the discussion about the shack is not a dust free environment. That concerns me with it, but so far so good. And I've been running CNCs and sanding in here all weekend, so it is coated in a layer of dust. So we're
Yeah.
going to find out if this thing was built to be in your living room or if it'll actually hold up in a shop,
Well,
because that's where it's at. It's in the shop.
somewhere
Uh,
I don't know that you'd want it in your living room. I wouldn't want most of these lasers in my living room.
Now the only negative I found so far, and I know I'm critical, but why not a 5 or 6 inch fan?
Yeah.
I mean, that I'm gonna have to add, as I can already tell, I'm gonna have to add me a little assist fan behind this one, because it's not moving the smoke fast enough, and it gets so smoky in there that it can't be healthy for the machine.
No,
So
that's very true.
that's
Yeah.
the only thing that I see right now that I'm gonna have to do to it. Uh, and there are a couple things that I want to gripe about. If anybody from X Tool sees this, why is the E stop on the right side where you can't reach it? Why not put it on the front where you could just
Well,
slap it?
it's slightly recessed too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I left just enough room to where I can fit my arm in there, just enough to bump it or to
yeah.
twist it to release it, because it has. How do you? I don't even know how to power the thing off without the E stop. I guess hold the button down maybe.
Well, there's the power switch in back.
Yeah, but I can't get to it with it sitting against the wall.
Well,
See, there lies my problem.
that's just positional problems. But yeah, the S1 is the same way.
Okay, where else am I supposed to put it?
They stuck the
But
on the S1 they stuck it back in that back right corner as well. And yeah, an E stop should be quick and easy to find in an emergency. So that's kind of
yeah,
a
so that's really my only big complaint is the fan should be bigger, and the E stop was not very well thought out. It should either be a plunger on top or on the front. But and then that little storage compartment, yeah, I can't use that because it's up against this other enclosure right here.
Oh, you've got it on the riser already?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When I moved it off of this table, I went ahead and put the riser together. Used it basically to make sure my footprint was going to fit the machine,
Hmm.
and I moved it over here to where the S1 was. So yeah, hang on, I'll show you.
Well, we'll
Take your Dramamine.
we'll see how it goes
See,
long term
look.
too, because I'll be
See,
curious how you
there's the-
think about it in another month.
You see that little hole right there? See that E stop back there?
No, not really.
Well, that's my point exactly. It's
Exactly,
Like
yep.
the screen. But yeah, that's I got the riser on it, got it set up, been running it, got it exhausted the whole 9 yards, and it. Like I said, I like the machine, but they probably should have called me and asked me about a couple of these things that they did, because they could have done better.
Well, we'll see when
But-
they come out with a P3.
Well, if they'll call me and let me know what they're thinking about doing,
Yeah.
I'll let them know if it's a good idea or not. But the E-stop was just kind of like a, what were you thinking? Because it can't be that much mechanics on the inside of it. It's a plunger stop button. So, I mean, a wire and maybe what, half-inch clearance?
I think it was a choice of aesthetics over functionality.
Yes, but there again,
You know,
I'm being critical, but as far as operational, machine works great. Fans should have been bigger or more powerful, one of the two. But
but you got Brian's
all right,
question.
Brian. Yeah, Brian is asking. He says he bought him a horizontal hive for Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Brian. I bet you can't wait till spring to get some bees in that thing. Says it has an aluminum top. He wants to engrave his logo on the top. What is the best way to do aluminum with a D1 Pro 20 watt? Well, herein lies the problem, Brian. Without a 1064 module, you're not going to do anything to aluminum. But never fear. There is the option of painting it really, really nicely with some spray paint of some type and kind of doing it like a tumbler. That way, after you paint it, you engrave it, and when you do, it removes the paint and leaves your logo. And then what I would do if that was me, to try to help maybe keep the paint from chipping in case it messes up the edges, hit it with a little bit of clear coat, some gloss clear coat or something. And I don't know how long it would last in direct sunlight, but that's probably your best bet. Worst case, a couple of years if it starts looking crappy, get you some navel jelly, set it in the shop, put that paint remover or that citrus orange or whatever on there, let it sit for an hour or two, and you wipe it off with a cloth, and then just redo it. With the X tool, I don't know how big this hive is. I'm guessing if it's a horizontal hive, it's probably 3 foot wide or so. You're probably just going to have to set the machine on top of it. Either cut you some little circles that'll fit the feet, or use my jig kit and tape the jig kit in place so that it doesn't slide with painter's tape, and then just send the file to it, let it run. But I will tell you this: run air assist when you're doing spray paint, because it can leave a nasty coating on the lens that'll pop your lens. And try not to be inhaling it as much as you can help, because they put some nasty stuff in spray paint too. But that would be if it was mine, that's what I would do. I would paint it and then do that. Or you could always do like an acrylic logo if you wanted to, on some black acrylic or something, and then just like glue it to the top. However, that's 2 different approaches. Just pick whichever one works best for you there.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of painting it and exposing the aluminum. But we'll have to see what he does with that.
That would look best.
So, Eddie's got a question. Maybe you could answer it well. With the Jimitsu 4040 Pro, did his first text job using an 1/8 inch bit, I'm guessing. Was 3 Japanese characters, took over 7 hours, 33 millimeters by 55 millimeters by 2 millimeters, 0.2 millimeter depth of cut, 0.1 millimeter pass. Used fill. Any advice to get the time down?
Yes, and you know the same thing. Rough and pass with a bigger bit, and then a finishing pass with whatever bit you used on that. Because if you did an engrave for that size that took 7 hours, no matter what the machine is, you must have been using a V bit for the whole thing, or engraving bit. And I'm having to learn that. That's something that I've been getting better at. Klein's actually having to learn that now, because Klein has taken my 4040 Pro over to his house since Big Boy showed up. But you're going to want to go through first with, let's say, what did he say? 1/8 inch bit. He didn't specify what kind of bit.
Yeah.
But you're going to want to go through first with, let's say, a flat end mill. And I have learned too, there's downcut, upcut, and depending on your material, sometimes downcuts are better, sometimes upcuts are better. Preferably, so far, I think the downcut is my favorite, because it doesn't matter really what you cut with it. It makes a clean cut. It just doesn't run quite the speeds as an upcut bit will. But I would probably run an 1/8 inch downcut and then go behind it with a 30-degree engraving bit for the touch up. But that 30-degree engraving bit is going to take a really long time, because it's basing your passes on that tip of that bit. And so even though it's only 1 millimeter wide, if that tip is 0.1 millimeters, it's got to make 10 passes to do 1 millimeter. So bit selection is really important with CNCs, and I have learned to love a rough and pass, even on things that don't necessarily say use a rough and pass. It makes it a lot faster. So what would your suggestions be? You've actually got way more experience with CNCs than I do. I'm just learning, but I just recently learned that lesson. So that was
no, I mean, you really hit it there. Is that your larger bits for roughing to get the bigger pockets, to mill away as much material as you can with that, are going to help you a lot. And so it depends on your design. You're going to find, at some point, too big of a bit is just not going to be worth the bit change. But you find that right one, rough it out with that, and then go back in with your detail bit, and it saves wear on your specialty bits and speeds it up. Outside of that it's all going to depend on what your spindle can handle. So if you're still running the stock spindle in there, you're going to be really happy upgrading to a 65 millimeter or 69 millimeter router, be able to run some 1/4 inch bits.
Oh.
So
I have news on the 4040.
Okay.
For anybody that has one. You know the spindle, the 300, was it a 300-watt spindle that come with the 6050?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 4040 will run it. Like you can wire it in, just DC wire it in. Now it's not variable speed or anything, but I did a test engrave with it the other day, and the 4040 runs that spindle really well. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the speeds were comparable to the 3030, and I wasn't getting any deviation in the gantry as it moved through there with the 1/8 inch bits. My nephews took it to his house today because I was running out of space. But it's it is possible. So if you can get your hands on that 300-watt spindle that they sell for the upgrade for some of the other machines, the 4040 that I had an insert, even though the module or the spindle was smaller that came in the machine. There's a sleeve that was in that spindle. If you pop that out, then the larger 300-watt fits in there, and that's a lot more powerful than that little electric motor. I wouldn't even call it a spindle. The electric motor that it comes with, because it's just way bigger, way stronger. But that would be a recommendation if you can get your hands on that 300-watt spindle. I think they sell it.
Does
don't they?
yeah, I think
you
they
look?
do, but does the 4040 come with the mount for the, or is that an
You
add-on?
can get a 65 millimeter. I don't know that it comes with it. Well, hang on.
Because if it comes with it, I think you're going to be cheaper just to jump up to there, and you're going to
you
get a
just
lot
ain't
more
gonna push
power
the
out of it.
speeds. You ain't gonna be able to push the speeds real hard. Let me see what it's sipping with now. See if it says it comes with it. Dun, dun. I think mine actually did come with a 65 millimeter spindle. Let me go look, because if it did, I've still got it. Let me go look over here.
So, yeah, Eddie, if the characters are really small, the other thing to look at is maybe change out to a different degree V-bit that can maybe do a little more clearing on a slightly deeper, as it angles out, it doesn't have as much bottom area to cut out. So, that's where using different degree V-bits will allow you to speed it up and still get a decent look to it. But it depends again on the detail of it. If shapes and whatnot are too close together, you're going to need that sharper angle.
I guess it does come with one, because I got a 65. This is my 69. Pretty sure that's a 65. And this is a little sleeve that come out of the factory one that was on it that enabled me to put that other module in there. Let me measure this and make sure I ain't telling a fib. Because I remember I bought extra the 69 millimeter, so this one it probably is a 65.
Yeah, so he says
65.29.
said he ordered the 65 millimeter mount and has some routers laying. Just we'll change it out if he gets more experience. But
yeah. And if he's in Japan now, he might actually be able to use that Genmitsu 220 one that's made for it.
Well, and I was looking, they've got that on Amazon now, and the plug that they show in the pictures is pretty much a standard plug, and I'm just wondering if they gave us bad information or if they've changed it now. But Genmitsu did come out with a trim router, and I believe they had reached out to both David and I, but when I was asking about it in the details, it said it was a 220 volt 1.25 horse trim router. I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. No one is going to run 220 circuit for a trim router, even if it's on a CNC. And they said, oh, okay, well, sorry. I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just something lost in translation or what, but they do have one. I think it's about $60 on Amazon. That's interesting, but looks like a Makita, very similar to a Makita trim router.
Yeah. Brian, I guess when they shipped the machine, they shipped it with a Lightburn, like a brand specific Thunder Lightburn download. And they had the Lightburn installed on it. They didn't have the camera calibrated, didn't even know it had a camera or wasn't ready to use it. So we had to set up the camera and then just basically had a crash course. The first test firing of the machine, it didn't work. And I was like, what in the world? And I thought the lenses were out of alignment, but what had happened is the mirrors on that machine, which is cool, so that you can clean them easy. the mirrors basically have a housing, and then they're in a almost looks like a big SD card that slides up into a slot, and you tighten a thumb screw to hold the mirror in place. And so when you get ready to clean them, you don't have to worry about moving the mirrors. You just loosen the thumb screw, slide the mirror out, clean it with a cloth, slide it back in. It was pretty sweet. Well, the thumb screw apparently had worked its way loose or was loose. I found the mirror laying down in the little access compartment, and I'm like, "Why is there a mirror laying there? Is there a spare?" And I look over, and lo and behold, no, it was not a spare. That's why it wasn't firing. But I was like, "Please tell me I ain't fixing to have to adjust the freaking lenses on a $10,000 brand new machine." But I didn't. The lens had just fell out, or the mirror had fell out. But yeah, it's nice. I'm gonna tell you, it's nice. That thing, the capability of the clarity and the speed of that thing is just crazy. Let me see if I can get the video though. If I can get the video on my computer right quick. I know I sent you a couple of little small clips.
So Gail is commenting there. S1 is sitting within 2 feet of the outside vent. It's really cold in Kansas City. Vent facing north. Notice the air inside the S1 was really cold. Will the cold affect the function and quality of work? It may. Not so much with a diode. That you know, the concern you would have would be, you know, as far as quality of work would be, is the function of the machine, is it going to gum up in any way, or is there going to get any condensation on areas? And so that would be my biggest concern is, you know, your module, if it's getting really cold and now you're going to fire the laser on it, that could generate some heat, and you could then generate some moisture and some condensation there, and that could cause quality issues, but it could also, you know, crack cover lenses, or, you know, hopefully not, but including the focus lens. So um, it's really going to depend on how cold it's getting in there. If you're down around, you know, 40 degrees, probably not a big deal. But if you're starting to get frost on your machine from air coming in there, I'd probably see if you could maybe put some sort of quick disconnect on there temporarily while this cold air is going through here. Just you know, so that air's not coming in to hit your machine and also inside your working area, and then be able to reconnect it up when you're going to use it. That way the air isn't coming in so much and freezing things up. But you know, if it's cold but not freezing, you have a lower risk. But if you're seeing frost or whatnot in there, then yeah, you got some problems. I think that I would let it warm up some way. You know, maybe get a heater going on there a little bit before you run it.
Yeah. Well, like somebody was saying, make sure you put a damper on it, like on your dryer vent. You can get the little flaps. I've added them to two of mine. I've got to do something for the S1, but the problem is that that little off size hose is making it challenging. I'm gonna have to 3D print an adapter.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Give me
Yeah,
just a second.
I've got
hold this.
you know, basically on both of mine, I've got dampers like that, but every so often that wind will kind of sometimes catch it, and you'll still get a little bit in there. So if you can
Yeah.
add that on the outside, great. But I know even sometimes those, if it's windy like it is here some days, that damper is still going to be blown around a little bit, even though they're not supposed to.
All right,
Get a spring-loaded one, maybe.
Hang on.
Did you get your video loaded?
One more. Yeah, I got a video, and then I got a picture as well. So I'll show y'all the video first. So here we go, right here. All right, so here's the machine, and I'm doing a speed test on some of this coated metal that they have that they use for trophies and stuff. Check this out. This is real time, guys. That's the real time speed. I did not do anything to that. That thing is fast. Let me get to my downloads here. And I'm not a big fan of like people and stuff like that. I've saw some pretty important people, but I had to take a selfie with the Thunder. I'm just I'm just saying. I had to take a selfie with it. But there we go. Uh-oh, Steve, are you there?
Yeah, no. You might want to check your Twitch chat.
My Twitch chat.
Yeah, you got someone dropping a it's kind of a spammy thing in there. Yeah, Patrick, the spring loader ones, they do a good job. You just got to make sure you have a decent fan to blow them open on the inside too. Some of these included machine fans might not push that out, but
Oh, there goes my
you broke it.
there goes my comments. Man, I wish they'd fix that. I'm gonna send them an email and be like, hey, fix this.
Yeah, well,
Uh, let's see here.
yeah, Gail, if you can let it just ride for a few days, hopefully most of us will warm up here by the end of the week and get back at it. But I know for some people with their business and such, they can't be down too much. But so
Yeah, I see this message you're talking about now. What a world.
Klein says he's very appreciative of the new CNC upgrade.
I bet he is.
I'm sure.
Now
Yeah,
I got to figure out. Now I got to figure out how to get them out of here.
it was. It's
what I
always
mean.
fun, kind of experimenting with a new machine like that. I know back, gosh, it's well over 10 years ago when I started playing with my friend's CNC machine and ended up then buying it from him, and doing a lot with it and jumping down this path. So, but while Clack's looking at that, we've got a couple things. We have a laser engraver community map. I know a lot of people have jumped on there, but if you're new here and haven't checked it out, it's something that we put out there just so people could put their pin in the map and see where everybody is. Maybe make some connections and such. It's completely voluntary. You don't have to put it on your exact address. Just maybe city, state, or general area. Um, as long as Google Maps can understand your location, it'll appear there. So linked in both of our YouTube channel, the See More description area should be a link to a form you can fill out, put your pin on there, and I think in the U.S. we're just maybe missing Nevada as far as all the states to be covered, and Alaska, I guess. But and then even worldwide, we're getting more and more all over. So definitely check that out if you want to drop your pin in on that. And then we also have a Laser Engravers Community Facebook group. It's a great way to share ideas or post photos and videos. We sometimes get questions in here that we can't quite connect on, and so that's a good way to follow up, as well as just sharing ideas and getting input from other people on maybe what you're working on or just showing off what you're doing. So again, if it completely voluntary, if you're part of Facebook and want to join that group, we'd love to have you there. Just be sure you answer the questions when joining. We try to make sure we
Yes, please.
keep any of the spam bots out of there, and try to keep there's a rash of scammers going around trying to post for sale things. We allow our users that if you really have something you're trying to sell, we'd allow it, but we get a lot of those where they just drop in and they're, hey, I've got this big bundle of wood or these whatever things I'm trying to sell. Those are getting kicked out as quickly as we can see them. So as we say,
Yeah, I usually try to give them a couple of strikes, but on the third strike,
Yeah.
you're gone.
yeah, unless I've seen it known in other groups as well. We give them, the 3-strike rule, but
Some of them you know as soon as they post.
Yeah.
But some of them is kind of confusing. It's like, is it a real person or is it not? And then you realize it's not. I try to screen those, but somehow or other they're answering the questions and everything when they get in. I don't know if it's actually a person doing it or what, but yeah, it's and I think I got the Twitch thing fixed. I don't know, but who was that said hey a while ago? Zim over on Twitch. So thank you for watching. I don't do a lot with Twitch, but I had the option, so I'm like, why not? Maybe there were people out there that did Twitch that needed to know about lasers. So it just basically simulcast to like all my outlets. But yeah, there may be a delay because between restream and then them streaming it to Twitch and all that. I mean, I don't know how all that's going to work on the back end, but yeah, it's probably delayed. Yeah, I need to go in and fix the settings on that Twitch account. I'll do that after we get through the live because when I set it up, literally, guys, I threw it together. I know nothing about Twitch, so I'm gonna have to go in and learn it, I guess. But I did turn on the shield. I didn't know it had a shield, which I guess basically is like a spam blocker. So hopefully that'll help.
Yeah, I get to send out the, so I mentioned it's been a busy week at work. I work at a community college, and tomorrow I get to send out the reminder of protect yourself online. Phishing attacks are high. Be wary of
Mm-hmm.
this and the everything, and to both our students and our staff and faculty, because people tend to forget. They come back from breaks or they're new students, and they don't know what things get thrown at them. So.
Yeah, apparently I'm doing a lot of copyright violations on my Facebook page because I've been getting like 3 a week saying that if I don't respond to that email, click that link, that they're going to delete my account.
Yeah.
And I just like reply back to them like, "Hey, go jump off a bridge or something. Leave me alone." But it's ridiculous how many of those I'm getting on Facebook. I don't guess Facebook has very many like precautions for stuff like that. But when you send me a Facebook post and it's like named something, but it tries to look like Facebook, yeah, it's very very poor imposters. Uh, Birmingham 75, watching us. This is cold to shot. Hey, I appreciate it. Like I said, the more people I can get on Twitch, the better. I would love to get a lot more people on my Facebook page. That thing's growing at a snail's pace. It's been out longer than my YouTube channel, but I think I'm only at like 2,700 followers on Facebook, which is I need to get to 5,000 uh, so that I can like do something with Facebook. Right now, it's just marketing. Local marketing is all I do on it. Mark has a question on the Laser Pecker LP2, which I don't have, and I don't think you have. Is 5 watts sufficient to get good engraving on most wood materials? Uh, I do have a 10 watt. Uh, I've had 5 watt machines before, and for engraving, yes, you can. Speed is not going to be a big. You're not going to get a lot of speed out of it, but yes, you can. Now you can get some really good detail. My recommendation would be to stick with materials that don't require a lot of power, or just make sure you got plenty of time. But what do you think, Steve? I mean, I've had some gantry style fives, but I've never had a Galvo five.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think for engraving, um, it's definitely doable, and that's where those things shine. Those Galvo lasers, they are quick and they've got some nice detail. Um, it's obviously limited in its working area, but if you're just doing things like coasters and other smaller keychain and other small size type things, and then it's a nice compact space and works well. Um, Certain things might not go as deep or as dark as you might like, but yeah, unless you're needing to push it hard for a large run of something in a short amount of time, um, I think it's sufficient. Now, would I go out and buy one right now? Probably not. I mean, I would look for something in the 10 to 20 watt for engraving, unless you were wanting to do high detailed, like the tile engraving or something like that, where you need very high resolution, and then those 5 watts are really gonna shine there. But
Yeah. Yeah, anodized stuff, anodized aluminum, maybe some powder coating, depending on how thick it is going to be kind of slow if it's real thick. Wood, cork's one that it doesn't take a whole lot of power. You can probably rip them out with that. Uh, Slate would be relatively easy. Mirrors, just knocking the coating off of mirrors would be easy to do with a 5 watt. There's things that you can do. Some woods are harder to mark than others. But I did put a link to my Clack Shack Facebook account if anybody wants to go check that out. And somebody was saying that ET was saying that nobody's giving us thumbs up. So guys, if you give us a thumbs up. I try not to beat folks upside the head about thumbs up or sharing or subscribing or supporting the channel or anything. I try to stay away from that. I do this one because I got into it because I love it. I enjoy it. And it has grown. But I have managed to figure out ways to support myself in other ways. I do like having the channel grow. I do like having my Facebook grow. It makes it more fun. But I don't like just repetitively asking for thumbs up, like, shares, follows, and subscribes. Now I do have a ticker because y'all can, but you can't see it way over there hardly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
I moved it. I moved it. I
Can
moved it
almost
over
see
there
it.
by the CNC. I put it over there so I can actually see the tool lines and stuff on the CNC, and I got it on a swivel mount still. But if y'all could, like I said, hit the thumbs up, like, follow, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It does help out. As far as helping the channels grow. The more the channels grow, then the better, the better things get as far as getting equipment and, being taken seriously by these companies when I tell them, hey, you need to fix this. Uh, and they don't. Because I've been having that battle like recently with a company. I told them to fix a problem and they didn't. And now they're like,
Hmm.
that came back to bite us.
Yeah. No, we're both kind of in the same boat where, I've got my primary career, my primary job, and for the foreseeable future, while I have kids starting and in college and going through college, I need to maintain that. I want this channel to grow. I want to be able to do more with it, but yeah, I'm not going to beat people over the head with it. As far as I want it to be more of a organic, support and following. I try to put out good information out there, try to be helpful to people, and hopefully that brings people back. And yeah, the biggest thing is just being able to watch the stuff. Views me more than subscribers in YouTube land when you're dealing with ad revenue and getting deals and sponsorships. Although we don't really like to do sponsorships, but being able to work with companies on their equipment. So um, we appreciate it, but yeah, don't want to beat it up. So let's move on.
Yeah. Verl, I put a comment over there. I was scared to because I thought my comments was going to break, but they didn't. I have links. Oh, hang on. Whew. I have links in the description of my YouTube, and I actually was able to put it on my Facebook event to take you to the map as well as the entry form. There's a separate form that you got to fill out. It's just like basically your name or whatever you want us to show. I mean, you can call yourself Donald Duck if you want to. We don't care. And a general location. It does not have to be your exact address. You can use your neighbor's address. You can use the post office. You can use whatever you want to use. Relatively close to your house. That way we kind of get an idea of where everybody is in the world. So you can go check, like I said, in my description of my video on Facebook and YouTube. There should be a link. There goes a cat. What's up, Tiger?
And if you're adding to that form, it's not real time. I do have to kind of manually force it to update new ones. So I try to do it a lot
Yes.
during this, and then try to catch it daily. But if you don't see your pin right away, that's just why. So
Well, Jack, maybe that's why I was in there twice. You think? Jack said he used my address.
yep.
And I will say this: I actually had a visitor. I'm gonna mention this because it's pretty cool. I had a visitor today, a fellow I've messaged with him a few times. He is a fellow police officer, and I'm not going to call him out publicly, but he's in town because, as y'all know, I did computer forensics for a long time. And this guy is actually in training at Hoover, which is where the Secret Service has their National Computer Forensic Institute is located in Hoover, which is about 40 minutes from here. Well, I had a fella come by today. He brought me this cool little gadget right here, and he's interested in getting into different lasers, but he's been playing around and engraving knives, engraving the handle, and he's got the LP4, and I don't like saying that name, but it's the Laser Pecker 4, and he was looking at getting into a diode, so he wanted to come by and kind of see what they were all about, and, get my opinions on it, and so I think he'll be joining the MK2 club soon. If his wife will, don't find out, stop it. But yeah, so I got me a cool box opener from him today. So that was pretty cool. And thanks for the visit. It's always cool. Like I said, Unfortunately, I am literally in my backyard in my shop, so I'm kind of particular about who comes by to visit. But like I said, he's a fellow police officer that is doing a lot of the same training that I do. Any plans on putting WeCreate jigs with? Brian, the WeCreate really does not require a jig if you use the corner of the workspace. Uh, like you can literally get a small square from, like, I mean, it's the using any of the machines that have a built-in honeycomb. You really don't have to have it as long as that honeycomb is stable. Now with the S1, that thing rocked all over the place. I did notice that the P2, they did it slightly different, but I don't. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know that it needs one either because it has that ledge if you use the blades, which I have the honeycomb too, and the honeycomb kind of fits in there where the blades go. So I don't know that you would need it with the P2 because it is actually fixed stationary unless you go real deep with it. So, but yeah, the WeCreate, like I said, you can use the bed itself to align things, and it really doesn't require a jig kit. Hang on, I'll be right back. Well, never mind. Forgot I had one of these sitting over here. Look at that. Look what I had handy right there.
Yeah, and well, in the WeCreate, doesn't necessarily use absolute coordinates unless you import the G code. So, you could put your jig in there, and
That's true. There's
yeah,
well, there's software homes.
it does. But I mean, you could do it.
Huh.
Because it does have coordinates in there, but I don't think it's going to be as slick as some of the others.
I'm out of tea.
So that'll be interesting to see if they do eventually get, and this is an interesting topic. There, you get a lot more of these lasers that have special features. The P2, the S1, the WeCreate, and they're coming out saying will be compatible with Lightburn, but that doesn't mean fully compatible, right?
Yeah. Well,
I'm not holding my breath on any of them becoming fully compatible with Lightburn.
well, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'll go ahead and say it. WeCreate has been after me for what, a month now to do more videos with their machine, but I feel a little deceived in a way with the fact that they told me when I got it that yeah, it doesn't work with Lightburn right now, but by the end of December we'll have it working with Lightburn. And so I was like, okay. But they're one of the companies, like I said, there was an issue that I had with mine, and I got it before. Mine was a pre-production, where the airline was sliding back and forth on a dust cover that was made out of stamped metal. And I think I sent you a text and told you about it. All I did was took a piece of sandpaper, folded it in half, and just slid it back and forth across that stamped piece of metal. Got those little sharp edges off of it,
Yeah.
and it fixed the problem. And I sent them an email, and I said, "Hey, just to let y'all know, you're gonna need to like touch up this piece of metal, or put a zip tie. You could put one more zip tie to give it a little bit different angle, and it wouldn't rub as much." And I said, "These are these are things that need to be addressed with this machine." And they sent me back basically, okay, well, our engineer said that due to the use of the machine and the longevity of the hose, that it should take some time before it needs to be replaced. But we sell replacements. And I'm like, that's not fixing the problem. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with them. Not gonna lie, it's not a bad machine. I didn't like that. I didn't like that it's a simple fix. Or either just tell people, hey, put one more zip tie on your machine right here to pull it away from this little sharp piece of metal that we forgot to sand.
Yeah.
And it kind of bugged me. But they've offered to pay me to do a video. They're offering to send me the smoke collector and everything else. It's not a bad machine, but I just they keep saying Lightburn's going to work with it, and I don't know. I don't know. They've kind of rubbed me the wrong way for the moment, and I'm just gonna have to take a break from them for a little while.
Well, and I know others. I try to follow the groups of various laser manufacturers, and that is, whether I'm interested in them or if I happen to have their machine. And I have noticed other people have commented on that. It has worn through and it's started to leak on some people. And so, like you say, it just needs to be deburred, or even just a strip of electrical tape over there, just something to take that sharp edge off that little stamped metal piece would help that out. So, they're a new company. They've got some growing pains, and hopefully they listen to people. But yeah, the going back to the Lightburn thing, I know there's a number of people who were a little disgruntled with Xtool in that they said, hey, yeah, the P2, we're working with Lightburn to make it compatible. Well, the people that are developing Lightburn software, they got so many things that they're working on. Milmage is more on their radar than I'm sure compatibility with, any of these random lasers that have special features. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I that being said, Xtool Creative Space has come a long way, and I don't mind using it as compared to when it was LaserBox Basic. I don't feel as handicapped in it. There are definitely some differences, and there's things missing from Lightburn or other design software, but they do continue to develop it. So it's good to see that, and I'm hoping Recreate does that as well, because I know a lot of people are buying into that laser. They're getting into it and enjoying it, but I feel that some of them are going to hit a wall at some point and go, oh no, now I got to work around this. So
Yeah, and like I said, I'm waiting to see what they do. We'll see. I haven't wrote them off completely, but we're on a timeout right now. But twinning, twinning. My logo, I built myself in Adobe. I use Adobe.
Illustrator.
What's it called? No, Adobe Express. That's what it's called. I had to look at the icon,
Oh, the online
but I
thing.
built it in a. Yeah, I built it in Adobe Express like a long time ago. Uh, and but no, it was, and you can tell it because when I did that, I had nothing to do with lasers when I started the Clack Shack. That's a sawmill blade. That's the center of my logo, and it's just got the Clack Shack, and then this got the little thin silhouette of the state of Alabama. Then later came lasers, but I'd already had the logo trademarked and all that stuff. It's just like whatever. So I leave it alone. I have thought about adding something to it, but it's simple. I like to keep it simple. It's easy to burn. It looks good with a laser. It looks good with a stamp. It looks good on print, and I've got it all over everything. So I'm not changing it anymore. How about yours? Where did yours come from? Did you pay somebody to do that, Steve?
I mean,
Ooh.
I've got some friends who are graphic designers. So did I pay them? It was kind of one of those friend deal kind of things. I kind of gave him some ideas and said, this is the flavor I'm looking for. And this was I was I had already started my YouTube channel just to share like miscellaneous RC videos and other things, but I felt pegged in that, and I didn't, and I wanted to expand it, so I wanted to be more generic, and so I, in case I wanted to, do woodworking or robotic electronic stuff or RC stuff, and so I thought let's keep it just generic, my workshop, Ventari's workshop and such. And so we kind of played around with a few different ideas, and it mimics kind of a sewn on leather patch kind of deal. And so I liked the look of it at the time and said, yeah, let's roll with that. And so,
Yeah. Like I
but
said, mine was very basic too. So
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places you can reach out to where they'll, you give them some rough ideas and they'll roll with it and make you a logo.
yeah, like I said, mine was pretty easy. I just found a PNG of a saw blade, just chop, crop, combine, all that kind of stuff. Super Duty, no, that's it's apple juice. It is seriously.
Any
It's Angry
chance
Orchard
on
apple
making
juice.
the Atom Stack X40 Max into an 850 by 800 work area?
Uh, it is very possible. You'd have to do some machining to put it back in its configuration the way it is now. You're going to need a set of longer belts, which is using flat belts, not loop belts, so that makes it easy. But if you could get your hands on some 20 by 40 extrusions, I think it's highly doable. Then you just have to change the controller settings to understand that it's gotten much bigger. So yeah, with some 2040 extrusions, I don't see why you couldn't. What do you think, Steve?
Um, well,
Hey, hashtag Steve got all the toys.
something showed up in the blizzard.
What's that you got in the box back there, Steve?
That is allegedly. There's, okay, it does say on the outside. I was gonna say, it is Atom Stack X40 Max. So I'll be getting that assembled here. Also, why I really need to get back on getting that enclosure done um,
Mm-hmm.
for the extended machine. But I don't think I'll be going 850 by 800 with mine. I don't see myself needing a work area that big.
Okay, I didn't know
Um,
they sell the kit already. Brian saying they sell the kit
yeah, yeah,
already.
they're crazy that way. Yeah,
Oh, that's
that's just a
massive.
big working area for a laser, and I just don't. Uh, I don't personally have the need for that. Now I do. I am glad to get the wider, and that's what I like about this one is that instead of being long, it's wide. The orientation's right, and so um, for me in working with model airplane stuff, and oftentimes we're working in 24, 36, sometimes even 48-inch lengths of balsa wood. Um, Most of these smaller ones, you got to do the tiling or get a bigger machine. So it'll be nice with this one. It'll definitely let me do the 24-inch plus. I would love if someone came out with just, I need it just over 36 inches. I need 36 plus, like 36 and a half inch working area. I don't need it to be that deep. Make it 18 to 24 inches deep. That'd be perfect for me. I'd love that laser. But
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, I think you'll like the machine. The moving of the axes like they did makes it a lot more feasible for putting it in enclosure. That way, like I said, I used to hate the fact that my work area looked like this on the
mhm,
screen, or looked like this on the screen, but this in real life, and sometimes you get discombobulated and stuff don't go where you want it.
yeah.
But yeah, that would be a big machine, no doubt. Uh, hmm. Brian says it's 289.
So Lisa's asking, or well, commented, just got her 8s or P20 delivered. Going to learn layering, but love to eventually get the X Tool F1. Is it worth the investment to do engraving at vendor shows? Uh, and that is kind of like the big reason I would tell someone it's worth it is if you are going on site, you want to be able to mark both metal and wooden, leather, whatever things. It's got both the 10-watt blue diode and as well as the 2-watt IR diode. You can do a lot of marking on site. It's portable. They've got the small air filter unit with it, and it's fully enclosed. So it kind of meets a lot of the safety needs. You add that air purifier to it. It's not. I wouldn't run it all the time with the air purifier at home if you don't need to, but at a show, it's going to greatly cut down on the smell and such. So that's worth it. So that's kind of the primary reason why I would recommend someone getting that laser. If you want to do stuff in your shop, there are far stronger galvo fiber lasers that you can get. You can get a 20-watt galvo fiber for under $2,000 now. So it's getting close to the price at F1, but you lose the blue diode and you lose the shield. It's not as portable. The portability of that F1 is really where it shines. So
Yeah. Chris, I'm thinking you meant to say how long before someone does a full sheet 4x8. I've heard Rich over at LA Hobby Guy say that he has actually built one himself. This 4x8 full sheet, which is that's insane for a laser. But yeah. Now I will make you this bet, Steve. I will make a bet that when you get that X40 and you get it you get it up and going, I will bet that you're going to tweak the homing speed on it. I'll almost guarantee it. Almost guarantee it because that thing looks like grandma coming home.
yeah.
It's just like, and I was like, seriously? I mean, it's going to take forever. So yeah, it won't take you long. You'll be going in there changing that on the controller.
Well, that there's two homing speeds. There's the initial touch off, and then there's kind of the fine one. So yeah, you can be a little bit faster on that initial one, and it's not going to hurt
Yeah,
anything.
the max speed, you're going to want to knock that up a little bit. Like I said, the approach speed, yeah, you can turn that down. You can still leave that alone. I bought both of mine up just slightly. The main one, I knocked it way up there. But yeah, when I first homed it, I was looking in there and I was like, well, is it even moving? And it was just like slowly going across there. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it has a weird thing right now still. And I think, and I'm going to ask Adam Stack about it. When you're engraving occasionally, like it'll just like be really fast. And then all of a sudden it'll be like, from one cut to the other, it goes real slow. I don't know why it does that. But it doesn't do it all the time, but it will do it occasionally. You'll look in there and be like, did it quit? But it's just going real slow between two cuts.
You know, I think I noticed that on the algo laser too. On occasion, that one's a pretty zippy one. But every so often, you'd be like, "Oh, you're taking the slow road today." So maybe
I
it's
don't know if it needs to slow down to cool off. Or
yeah,
what,
it's winded.
maybe it's catching his breath. Yeah. Should have said learn laser. I missed something. Yeah, I agree with you. Eddie Cat. Where does he? I mean, they just keep showing up. Which, just when I think I got a foot up on him because I got the P2. And, well, I had the S1. Steve didn't have the S1. Steve had the P2. I didn't have the P2. So we were kind of like, oh, yeah, your machine can't do this. Your machine can't do that. Well, now Steve has the S1 and the P2 and the F1 and an X-Tool D1 Pro and an X-Tool D1 and all these other machines. And now he gets the Adam Stack X40.
Yeah.
I can't get ahead.
I don't have the honeycomb for the P2.
No, well, I got you on that one then. Do you have two? Yeah, I know.
And they only sent me one.
A whole bunch of RAs.
They only sent me one frame for my screen printer.
That's not my screen printer. That's Brandy's. I'm telling y'all. Brandy has this screen printer in the house. She took one of my event tables out of my trailer and over in the living room. I'll take a picture of it and share it with y'all. Over in the living room, up by where the Christmas tree was until she took it down, she's got my folding table, my event table set up. And she's got the printer on there. She's got her towels and t-shirts and all that stuff on there. I went in there and kind of helped her make sure everything was set up correctly. I watched Steve's video to make sure I was doing it right, and which I wasn't to start with. I put the screen on there with the tensioners already flipped and didn't realize it, so I had to undo that. But I got one screen ready to go. I mean, it sounds like a bass drum when you hit it.
Yeah.
So it's ready to go. Cardboard is in the middle of the frame. All I got to have is the design to put on it, and she'll be in business.
Yeah, you got to take that cardboard out.
Yeah, well, here's how it went down, guys. X-Tool sent me the message about the P2. And they're like, hey, would you be interested in the P2? And I'm like, duh. Yeah, I'll take it. And so they're like, well, what about the screen printer? And I'm like, and I'm sitting there reading the email, and I'm like, I don't really want to do the screen printer. I mean, I ain't got nowhere to put it. Shack's getting crowded. It's dusty. And Brandy's like, I'll take it. I'm like, what? She's like, I'll take it. That's something I might like. So I'm like, okay. So I told the guy, I'm like, hey, send it to me, but she wants to do multi-layered. So I'm going to need lots of ink and several frames. And so I opened it today, and she's got 12 colors, I think it is.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 frames. And then I don't know how many little canvases or screens or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be nice. It's going to be fun. But it does work with the P2 as well, doesn't it? I know it works with the S1, but can I use that little bracket with the P2?
No, the locating bracket is only for the D1 right now, but you could build your own.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Hang on.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Steve ain't got that. Wow. I think this is made for the S1 though.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 of those. See, look, they saw a video on the Pack Shack channel, and they're like, "Hey, we could use those little screws that we put in there in that S1 to hold stuff, like he did with his interchangeable jig kit." And so they made this to go on that little lip, and then you take 2 of those screws out and put them back in, and it holds this in place. So I think it only will work with the S1, but that's fine. It's sitting right there, and it works off Wi-Fi, so I'm good.
And they said that they're going to be working on different screens for all the lasers, including the F1 and such. You don't even need to use an X-Tool laser with that. You can lay it flat in the others. So
cool. And I'm going to show y'all guys. X Tool is watching the Clack Shack channel. I'm just throwing that out there. Oh, this is the bracket for the D1. If I can get it open. This is the bracket for the D1. Does it look like anything y'all seen before?
No.
Steve, come on now. They they took my jig kit and made it into a piece of metal with some pins on it. So yeah, this is for the D1, which I'm not getting them out of the trailer to do the video. I'm gonna use the S1. So
Well, yeah, that's kind of when it came up here. So my son, one of my sons is doing college classes in the graphic production program at the college I work at, and so they do all sorts of things, and screen printing was one of them. So he was kind of excited about it, as well as my wife wants to make some quirky, weird T-shirts as well. So that's where I'm waiting for them to release the supplies. You know, they're still trying to ship out their initial orders, and then they'll get the frames and the screens and everything going. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll do another video when we get to the T-shirt stuff as well. So
yeah. And there he is right there, guys. That's where I got my new box opener slash whatever I need it for. Knife. It's just a pretty cool engraving. So, but yeah, appreciate you stopping by today there, Blue Line. But yeah, I figure he may not be the last one. I didn't think about the fact that I'm so close to NCFI and there's people from all over the country that come there every year. So, but it was a fun visit. I had so many people coming and going today that I didn't get to, we didn't get to hang out as much as we probably could have, but we'll see.
So yeah, Dennis is asking how well a laser module would work when put on an X-Carve or other CNC machine. If you did this, would you run it with Lightburn? So yeah, some lasers have modules that you can add to them. Or sorry, some CNC machines have modules you can add to them. A lot of the Gen Mitsus have it. The Onefinity has it. I believe I've seen, I don't know if they're aftermarket or default, but X-Carve and Shapeoko. They're all, most of them are GRBL machines, and so they can adapt to a laser module fairly easily. JTech Photonics, where we recommend for the safety acrylic, they actually sell modules for CNC machines. And generally, yeah, you can add it into Lightburn. Otherwise, there's some softwares will have some basic laser control, but generally, if it's a GRBL machine, you can get it dumped over into Lightburn pretty easily. When you get into some of the more fancy machines, you're going to be stuck with more of their control software. But the thing is, most CNC machines, they're not built for speed. They're built for torque. They're built for rigidity. And so at some point, you're going to lose out on actual laser module movement speed versus some of these that claim speeds of, 50,000 millimeters a second or minute type things. And you're not going to see that with a CNC machine just because they're meant for torque, not speed. But they generally work about the same.
Yeah, well, I know the 6050 actually has a button on the controller where you can switch it from spindle to laser if you're using their spindle. And it also comes pre-wired with a pigtail that comes out, which I just had to secure it right there by the gantry for the laser module. And I've got a ComGrow 20-watt module. I thought about trying to come up with some attachment method for it, but I'm like you. The speeds of the CNC are nowhere near fast enough to compete with even the cheapest laser on the market, because you can only go probably, I would say probably if you get anywhere above a 10-watt laser on a CNC, you're not gonna be able to move it fast enough to keep from starting fires. So to me, CNCs do what CNCs do, and lasers do what they do. Because it would just be a whole different animal. I do know too. I think the Shapeoko, one of the machines I was looking at getting, actually has like a utility rail on the side of it, almost like a little Picatinny rail, to where you can mount like attachments such as. They also have a drag knife and an etch, like a scratcher, like a spring-loaded scratcher for like diamond tip scratcher for glass and stuff like that you can do. But yeah, I'm just gonna let the CNC keep doing CNC stuff because it's not fast enough to compete with any of these lasers.
And typically you're not going to want to leave the laser module necessarily on there while the CNC is going, because that it's either going to get in the way, or you're going to risk getting all sorts of dust up and around that module. And then they don't home in the same location generally, unless you're going to take the whole bracket off that's holding your spindle and put the laser on. So generally it's going to be offset and such. So you got to kind of do a rehoming operation, or try to figure out that offset. So trying to do kind of 2-in-1 type things um, are going to be still a little bit of setup and a little oddity. And as like Jack mentioned there, unless you just absolutely don't have the space for two machines, I'd rather have the separate machines. You can be running both at the same time. I've done that a lot when I'm batching out kits and such, that I got to keep the CNC machine moving, and then I'm over on the laser cutting out other smaller kits. So it's when it's a necessity, it's nice that you can use it that way. But um, I prefer to keep have the machine purpose built for what it needs to do. So um, sorry I missed this one earlier, but Mesperia was asking a question. I'm new to this. Picked up the X-Tool F1 for starters. Have watched Vintari's videos on slate material test setup. Is there a location to ask a detailed question when you have time? So, as I mentioned earlier, we definitely have our Facebook group as a good place to drop that, because not it's not only David and I answering those questions there. There's a good group of people in there that can help out. That's a good way to catch us. Otherwise, through our Facebook pages is kind of one of our preferred ways to get in touch with us. Emails sometimes get lost. Um, Etsy messages, we prefer to keep that to, resolving customer order issues, things like that. So, you can email us, but through that Facebook group, or through our Facebook pages is a good way where it's not going to get lost if you have a more detailed question or something that's not suited for this live. So hope you're still here and can catch that. Love to help you out if we can.
Killing me. But yeah, what you were saying a while ago, I'm the same way. The CNC can do things that lasers can't. I got too many lasers sitting around to be putting it to doing CNC, the laser and work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I think we're about caught up. I don't. If you put a comment or a question down, guys, and we didn't answer it, please repost it. We're not gonna be offended. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, somebody, Rumgar did mention a while ago I needed to get me a CNC lawyer. Oh, or not a CNC, a
So
patent lawyer. But it's not that easy. Patents are expensive, and unless it's something that you plan on making $1 million off of, the process is they've made it hard and expensive to where normal people just aren't going to fool with it. I mean, especially for something that's
yeah,
simple.
yeah.
It's not like it was back in the day of Alexander Graham Bell and Mr. Singer and all those guys. It's just not Henry Ford. It's not like that these days.
Um, the Facebook link for both of our pages, as well as the uh, Laser Engraver community page, should be in the description of most sites we have. Facebook doesn't always let us add enough content in there, so but if you're on the Facebook page, you should be added anyway. But on each of our YouTube descriptions for this video, you should be able to find links to our pages, Facebook pages, Instagram pages, all that stuff should be down there. So just hit that see more button, or show more, or whatever it is, more, and there should be links in there to all that. And yeah, love to have you following us and drop us some questions that way as well. So
Brian, I wasn't around for Alexander Graham Bell, but little known fact: around my house, we do not watch sports. We do not watch like modern television. Most of what we watch is History Channel and Nat Geo. And so I've watched documentaries on almost every inventor, every titan of the United States, every business. I know about how every business from KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell, like their whole history, their startup, Subway, because that's what me and Brandy watch when we're watching TV is documentaries. And I know that is very, very boring, but that's what we watch. I don't like watching modern day TV shows because they have things in them that I just don't agree with, and I don't care to sit and watch it. So documentaries right now seem to be the safest television out there. If I watch anything other than that, it's going to be just a YouTube video with like a bearded guy from Minnesota or something like that. It's not going to be, the new the normal TV channels. So setting prices. Steve, are you froze? No, you're froze. Okay, you moved. Setting prices is a balance. Okay, guys, I'm going to throw this out there. Uh, John Deere sells tractors for prices that John Deere could not sell tractors if they were a brand new company. Okay, let's face it. You can't, like Ford. Ford sells vehicles for more money than they would if they just started the company a year ago. As you grow your business, as it gets better, you can price things a little better, especially in your immediate area. Once your reputation precedes you, it makes pricing a little easier. Starting out, basically, my advice, if you're just starting out, figure out exactly what you're willing to make. If you're willing to do it for $10 an hour because you love it, you enjoy it, yes, people are going to say, oh, that's what's wrong with the laser community right now. People underpricing jobs, blah, blah. Those are people who can't figure out how to pivot their business to keep making money, and they want to blame it on other people doing it as a hobby. Uh, there's people right now that I could get jobs that they're doing because they're doing it a lot cheaper because they're willing to do it cheaper because they're starting out, just like with Klein. He's having to come up with ways of getting his products out there, and sometimes he has to kind of take it on the chin a little bit and go, you know what, this is a $50 job, but I really want to get my name out there, so I'm going to do it for 40 and give them a good deal because I know if they shop around, somebody else might do it for 40. That's the free market, all right? That's just the way it works. Once you get, like Klein has, to where this customer's been to him before, they know his work product, they know how punctual he is, you can adjust as you go. But if you only do one job a week because you're so overpriced and you make $100, is that better than if you do 10 jobs that week at $80? I'm terrible at math, guys, but 10 jobs at $80, one job at $100, the 10 jobs is better, especially if you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, not doing anything. So you just need to figure out what it is you're willing to work for. And like with me, I can have the CNC going, I can have this machine going, I can have this machine going, I can have that machine going. So if I'm working on a big job, my hourly rate sometimes in this shop is $200 an hour because I have, I'm making 5 of this at $15. I'm making 10 of these at $5. I'm making, so some days my hourly rate out here is $200 an hour. Some days my hourly rate's nothing. Some days I'm losing money. It depends on what I'm doing. But just figure out whatever the project is, how much you're willing to work for, and go from there. I mean, yes, people will tell you, oh, there's a formula. You got to figure this, that, and the other. If you're just starting out as a business and you're not technically a business to where you're collecting taxes or paying taxes necessarily, I'm not a tax attorney, but if you're not doing those things, then your overhead is very low. It's basically your time and wear and tear on your equipment as well as materials. If you're covering those and making a little bit of profit, just figure out, is that enough profit for you to spend an hour doing it? If it is, do it. That's my philosophy. So what's your approach on that, Steve?
Well, I mean, you got to be careful if you're not paying taxes on the income you're making. That's going to come at you eventually.
I'm saying if it's a hobby.
Well, I mean, even so, I mean, technically you're supposed to report that. That's all I'm going to say. Nah, but no, I would.
Well, in Alabama, unless it's $750 or more on a 1099, you technically don't have to report it around here.
Well,
so,
maybe
I'm not talking about like company, but if you're engraving stuff, because I know a bunch of 13-year-old kids that cut grass in the summer, and I've never seen them running around being chased by revenue agents.
There's the letter of the law, and then there's how they do it. I'm just saying that be careful. It quickly goes from a hobby to, more than that. And a lot of venues that you go to, they're going to ask you to make sure you're collecting sales tax and such when you sign up for them. But you really kind of hit it there. You got to figure out what you're willing to work for, and then you have to remember also, a lot of people say you gotta make sure that you're making the money, you're charging for your time. Well, a 10-watt diode laser is gonna take a lot longer to do a job that a 55-watt CO2 does. So there's a bit of market and what people are willing. You can't price it as like, well, I'm going to charge you for 2 hours of time when a
Yeah.
CO2 could do it maybe in 30 minutes, right? So there's some, you got to do a little bit what your local is going to bear as far as the market for that type stuff. But it really comes down to like you say, what are you willing to work for, and then price it out. How much time does it take you to do that? Are you able to double up on things with that? Can you batch it out and make it faster? But also, you should think of the other side of that is that if you're doing this as a business and you make $20, you sell an item for $20, you're not making $20 on that. You had materials, um, you have taxes, you have support stuff. So you're going to have to be thinking about that as well. Is that at some point, if you're doing this as a business, you're going to be losing 20 to 30 or more, depending on your locale and how you do your taxes and how you incorporate as a company. You have to factor that into it as well. There are just costs of doing business,
Oh,
that need
there's
to.
taxes on top of taxes.
Well, but it's also, I mean, look at the things that we pay for. You're going to eventually have bookkeeping software of some sorts, and it's probably going to cost you something per month. Same thing with, if you have your own website, things like that. You got to figure some of that out. But um, yeah, there are some online calculators to help you, but it starts with you figuring out what's the minimum you'll work for, and then you can kind of calculate from there. Well, it takes out so much time for me, and it costs this much in materials and such, and do the math. And if you're making a few bucks at the end of the day and you're happy with that, run with it. But I think I know I have worked on developing products in the past. When I crunched the numbers, I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to offer this. It doesn't make, and maybe
Sure.
it was the machine at the time, maybe it was the process, maybe it was something else. But sometimes you will find that it's not worth your time to sell that thing, because I do see a
Yeah.
lot of people get into that, and especially when you don't have a market locally, or you're trying to compete with the same other thing. It's a race to the bottom, and all of a sudden at the end of the day, they're basically doing it for free.
What is
And you
this
have
cat
people
doing?
you have people out there too, and that's the thing. I've had certain things where one year it sold really well. There's these cedar picket LED lanterns. They sold well, really, like the first year. The next year they didn't. Well, comes to find out there's a guy selling them for like half the cost. I couldn't even figure out how he's doing it. The best I could figure out is he's bored and just wants to recoup his material cost. So you got to be
Yeah.
ready to pivot with that stuff too.
Yeah. Romgar, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first got my laser, I got it because I was doing woodworking. I was cutting stuff off my sawmill, drying the lumber, and I was making things like coffee tables and stuff like that. What first got me started, and the sign is still actually on the front of my shop here, is I wanted to when everybody kept calling everybody like my Brandy would somebody would call over here or stop by and she'd be like they'd be like where's Clack at? Oh, he's out at the Clack Shack. He's out at the shack. He's out at the shack. And so the name the Clack Shack kind of stuck. Well, when I finally decided, you know what, I'm just gonna run with it. I took a router, like a hand router, and I made a little sign, and it's hanging over my front door that says the Clack Shack. And that was when I was like, man, it'd be nice if I had a CNC or a laser or something like that I could make this with, because I just used an old scrap piece of wood off the sawmill. And that's when I decided I'm going to get a laser. And so I started researching them, and I wound up buying the X-Tool D1 10 watt, which at the time was like that was like sliced bread coming out. And so I bought it and started playing with it. And then I was in several Facebook groups. People would ask questions, and I would explain it to them. They didn't understand. People in sawmill groups didn't understand how to adjust blade tension, belt tension, adjuster tensioners, all these different things. And so instead of trying to explain it to them in a text, I started doing little short videos and putting them on YouTube and just sharing the links to Facebook groups. Well, that's how all of this started, was just me basically giving people advice. and it just kind of kept growing. And then I finally decided, you know what, this is fun. I enjoy it, and so here we are today, 23,000 almost subscribers. So it just happened. But the laser stuff was kind of the same way. I would put pictures of stuff that I had done on Facebook or made for Brandy. That was the biggest thing. Brandy, I would make her something and she would sell it so fast it'd make your head spin. So I'd put a picture on my personal Facebook page. Made this for Brandy today, out of some cedar that I got from here, blah, blah, blah. People would comment, I'll give you $35 for it. And I'm like, I made it for my wife. And Brandy's like, sell it. You can make me another one. So I'm like, okay, bring me $35. You can have it. Kind of like we had a yard sale going on over here. And so it got to where every time I would make her something and put it on my personal Facebook page, one of the people in town would be like, hey, I want that. I'll give you $40 for it. And so I was like, my goodness, people are paying me money for stuff that I'm making out here goofing off at my shop. And so that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a Facebook page, but it's just gonna be the stuff that I make instead of my personal accomplishments and family trips and stuff like that. And so that's when I created the Clack Shack Facebook page and started like putting pictures of stuff I made, and people would be like, hey, I want one of those. And I'd be like, okay, $30. And I'd give them that one and make Brandy another one. And that's how it got started. But in the beginning, I wasn't really trying to make money. I was just, showing people, I was just kind of bragging about what I made, and people started wanting me to make them. It's the next thing you know, I'm taking orders.
So I guess the question is, why the Clack Shack instead of naming yourself Made for Brandy?
Trying to maintain my independence out here. This is like the independent state of the Clack Shack in the country of Brandy.
I don't know. Maybe that could be a spinoff. You could hit a whole new market there.
Yeah, but I mean, but like I said, she was my inspiration for a lot of the stuff. She'd be like, hey, she'd see something on Etsy, and I'd be out here working, and she just like sends me a picture, and it's like, boom, I bet you can make this.
Well,
and I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to say a spin on that really is some good ideas have come from someone says, hey, can you make something like this? Someone asked me if I can make something for them. Can I create this, storage thing or this whatever? I think you've done that quite a bit too, is instead of you making something and sharing out there, someone says, hey, I'm looking for something like this. Can you make it? And all of a sudden, you end up making that one and selling quite a few of them. So, and that's why I ask people, I'm like, give me your ideas. And sometimes I give them the prototype or the first one, say, hey, thanks for the idea. And you actually make your money and sell the copycats for everybody else afterwards. So,
yeah, well, that's just like this thing right here. Brandy was like, you know what would be cool? Like a hole for Ritz crackers and 2 places for the bowls. And that's where this came from. I don't even know if this is a real thing. She may have saw it on Etsy, or she may have just said, make this, or it may have been my egg holder.
And she's going to go and bid on it, right?
No, she just made me make another one. Now, she asked me if I had any more of the magnolia, so I don't know what she's got planned for it, but she likes the fact that this magnolia looks kind of like granite or marble. And this is with mineral oil on it. It kind of takes a yellow tinge. It's powder white until you put mineral oil on it, and then it turns kind of a yellow.
Yeah, unfortunately, our magnolias up here aren't as big as those down there. So next time I come down, I might have to steal some.
All right, yeah, this one was like we can mill one. I got another log up there. You can help me mill it.
Well, I want to have. I know. I mean, I want to have some stock on hand for my own projects, man.
See, and what we did on this one is because we figured even if you're not serving, let's say you're not serving deviled eggs for whatever event you have, well, you just flip it over, and you can put your block of cheese on here with a little knife and use it as a cheese board. So
it has just spilled all your eggs.
Magnolia thing on it, but you can use it as a cheese board or like chopping block or whatever, or you can turn it over and put your eggs on it. Same thing with this one. You can just set it out for decorations. It's got the same magnolia bloom on it. You can set it out for decorations, or you could turn it around, and on this one you could use it to put whatever. You could put a bowl on here. You could use it on this side. You could put like a big whatever kind of bowl you wanted to. But these are the 3 pieces so far that we got built. What?
Sam,
Yeah.
deviled eggs and a paddle all in one.
Hey, you can club somebody to death with it now. I will tell you this. I thought the handle was too big on this. I was like, man, that is a massive handle. But dude, you were talking about defending. You defended your supper.
Hey, I
Look
was.
at this.
Who was it? It was Hobo with Wood. He was telling me that my little bottle openers were plausibly illegal to carry.
Yeah. See, this is what this is for, though. That's a skillet hole. That's like you. So when you're cooking your frying your eggs in the morning, and you get through with your skillet, and you want to set it down on the counter, if you have the old, whatever
Formica.
kind of lamp, yeah, Formica tops or whatever, you don't want to set this directly on it because it's gonna melt it. So you set it on this, and this is magnolia. It's really really hard, and you're not gonna hurt it. Now you may stain it, may get it dirty, but you could always cheat, turn it over, do it that side if you wanted to.
Oh, that's how you get the repeat customers. They come back for a fresh one.
And see, you get the skillet with it too. It comes as a set.
Mm.
So this is a brand new large skillet. So there you go. You also get these nice Walmart serving bowls that Better Homes and Garden.
So
But I've been
so uh, anyone that doesn't know, Sam Craft, he's another good guy on YouTube. Does a lot of
yeah
laser content, and right now he's building an extension,
a
a whole new
shop.
shop. I'm that and it's been fun watching along. Reminds me of I've been in this. Well, I built it as a garage. It's been a shop for the better part of the past 15 years. Um, so I'm feeling his pain as he's getting through it, but also the excitement of getting closer to getting done. And I'm excited to see how that all comes together for you, Sam, with your getting your machines in there and start working in there. So keep those videos coming. And anybody who hasn't checked them out, definitely go head over to Sam Craft after we're done here and check out his
Yeah.
videos. So
Yeah, Sam was what was he putting in the windows the other day, and I was thinking to myself, it's a good thing OSHA didn't show up because he had this cool like body lift apparatus that he came up with using his tractor. But yeah, it's good. Sam's kind of like he's kind of like me. He reminds me of a I don't know a bearded a better bearded me, I guess you could say. Uh, but uh, but yeah, it's uh, guys. The sky is the limit when it comes to making stuff and doing stuff. Whatever you come up with, just own it and figure it out. That's like a lot of this stuff here. Like I said, this is marketing. I mean, yes, I'm donating to a good cause. I'm hoping to beat my bid from last year because I think last year it was like $200, $250 for some wooden lanterns that I made out of scrap material. So this
yeah,
year, since I got the new CNC and I needed to test it, so I'm like, well, hey, what better way to test it than build some CNC stuff? And by the way, guys, if you haven't seen it, boom, there it is. And for those of you that were concerned my table was not robust enough, you ain't moving that. It ain't moving. That thing is sitting there, and I made me some cool little brackets for my vacuum hose after I stepped on it and broke my CNC printed vacuum hose thing. But I printed another one, and the day has been saved. We're good.
very cool.
But yeah, Sam does. I've seen, like I said, I've seen a lot of the videos he's done with laser stuff. I probably hadn't watched as many of them as I should have, but I spent too much time trying to watch all of Steve's videos to make sure he hadn't snuck any extra toys in over there. But yeah.
Well, I will. I yeah.
All right,
No, I
Brian.
would say definitely check him out for his stuff. He's got a lot of good files as well. A lot of good um, uh, uh, the test files as well as if you want to be setting up jigs for multiple things as well. He's got some good options like on the F1 and others as well. So
Yeah, I did watch his F1 video when he
mhm.
did the little conveyor jig. That's cool. I don't know what's up with this cat. Tiger has went in and out
It's
of
just
her
all over.
sleeping area like 5 times, and I keep thinking she's gonna pop back out. But since I moved the TV, y'all can actually see the ladder. So I apologize for all the cat traffic. But their bed that I made them, because they've got a bunk bed up there. Their bed, yes, the cats have a bunk bed. It's up there, in the attic, and I put them up a screen, a curtain so that they can go in and out and like have a little darkness up there when I'm in here working. So,
Cool. Well, we are
see ya, Eddie Cat. Have a good one. Go ahead.
rolling up on 2 hours here, and
Uh-oh.
getting late on the Sunday, so probably going to be wrapping up here real quick. So if you got any last minute questions, throw them our way. Otherwise, what you got coming up this next week?
Oh, well, I still haven't. And guys, I apologize. I've had a dry spell this week because I've been so busy with the P2, and then the CNC came in. I did find out one thing, guys and Steve. If you use a relay to activate the spindle on a 6050, and you have the supposed 32-watt capacity relay, don't turn the dial on the controller all the way up. Turn it like down toward the bottom because you will fry your relay. So I've got to get another relay, but I've got everything else is set up on the CNC. I've had to retool the dust collection because, as you have found out, that little dust collector, it's too high off the material to do any good. But I can tell you, I know where you can get a file to download and 3D print your own adapter that will make it much better. But so I've got videos going to be coming with it. I'm going to try to get them recorded tomorrow. I was going to do it today, but I had company most of the day and didn't get any recording time in. The P2, I'm going to do my first impressions because I've only had it for about a week now. I'm going to do my first impressions and kind of take a pointer on some of the things that I like, that I don't like, and go from there. But so far, it's like I said, operationally, functionally, it works great. I love the two cameras. That second camera is pretty killer. Some of the engineering with where they put the stop button and the size of the exhaust and stuff like that they could have done better. But it's simple fixes. I'm going to add a fan to assist the one that's in there, and I think I'll be good with that part of it. The e-stop, we're just out of luck on that. That is where it is. But I can't actually get my hand back there. So CNC videos for the new 6050 and what I've learned with it and how excited I am that I've actually got something a little bigger than the 4040, but not as big as the Shapeco that it's going to be sitting over there before too long.
Nice.
I just got to wait till I get to. I can wait till I get through past all those tax things that you keep talking about.
Yeah.
That I hate so much.
Yeah.
I had to pay my sales tax today, and I was like, man, they're killing me because it's like every dollar I make, they get like 60 cents of it. It seems like. So, but that's the P2 and CNC stuff is probably going to be recorded. Hopefully tomorrow I can run through them. I did these projects with the machine, and I've got several other things laying over behind it that I made, as well as some tools for my table. I made myself I used some scrap plywood that was left over from the table build, made myself some hangers for my vacuum hoses and stuff. So, stuff like that, I put it on there to just test it out, see what it's made out of. And so that's really, hopefully tomorrow, that's all I'm going to be doing is recording those two videos.
Yeah.
How about you, other than the max 40-watt atom stack?
Well,
And the enclosure build. Where are we at on the enclosure build?
I need to polish up a few details on my initial drawing on it. And then I gotta do a material count. And then I am not collecting lumber until it gets into the positive numbers at least. Preferably double-digit positive numbers before I start hauling some lumber in here and breaking it down. But yeah, so the enclosure build, I've got some time slated here in a couple weeks where I'm hoping to take some extra time off and work on that as well. I do have to. I've got another project video I've been working on this weekend, kind of as a primer with the S1 to do some work with that. I've got some acrylic projects that I'm wanting to do with the P2 as well. But then, yes, of course, I've got to get the X-Max built, and I had a couple of projects I wanted to throw on the Genmitsu or the 150 as well. It's just time is all. Work's got me going away from. I'll be on the road a couple days this week as well, and so that always kind of takes some of the energy out of me. Long days on the road in the winter, not so fun. But yeah, hopefully hopefully 1 or 2 actual videos. I know this week I kind of was dry like with you. I didn't get anything out in between last live and this one, but couple things in the work. I was videoing on today. Should be out early week, and then we'll have some fun with that. But enclosure build probably closer to end of the month for that one. So
Yeah.
lots to
Oh, and
do.
I forgot silk screening. Maybe
Yeah.
even because if Brandy gets her design figured out, I do. Like I said, I will be doing the silk screening as well, and I'm gonna try to see if I can do it in the CO2. I don't know. I'm afraid. Oh, I'm afraid that I may have to just use the S1, but if I do, no big deal. It's right over there, and it does work off Wi-Fi, so I'll just drag out my 20-foot vent tube and throw it out the cat door and call it done.
Yeah.
So that's not a big deal. But the P2 took the S1 spot as far as it. The P2 could not stay over there. I mean, it's there was no way I was going to kind of put it in a second chair. It's staying in first chair. Because these three machines, if you're not familiar with the layout of the shack, these three machines here are like, these are my go-tos.
Yeah.
I've got the P2. I've got right now, currently in here is the longer B1 30 watt. And then I've got the X40 in here. Then I've got my Rolly here. And I just set that there because I had space. So I mean, it's not a bad machine, but I like Lightburn, guys.
Yeah.
Uh, and the more I learn V-carve, I'm gonna be honest with you, V-carve's a very powerful little tool.
It is.
I did not realize as many functions as it has, but I drew up a couple of things. I'll show you one of my things I built today. I drew up a few files today. This is one I run this right before the live started out of some scrap magnolia, and it's basically just a little tool tray. I got a slot here for the Allen wrench that I use to take my dust collection off and on. And then these are 2 slots for the wrenches used to take the bit out. And then I got one right here for my 1-inch flat chisel, which the 1-inch flat chisel is what I use
Taking your tabs.
No, when I glue something down, I take that chisel, just stick it under the edge, use it more or less a pry bar.
Oh, okay.
No, I have found that little reciprocate or the little what you call it, multi-tool.
Yeah.
DeWalt multi-tool.
Yeah, those work
is
well
awesome
for them.
tabs.
Yeah, it does.
It's awesome because you can just put the corner of the blade in there, and perfectly cut them. But it's sitting over there by the machine now, so I've used that thing more today than I have in the past 6 months. Because it's great for like putting up trim where you can do flush cuts with it and stuff, but that was really all I ever used it for. But now it's over there. What I didn't forget? I'll remind you. Oh, Brandy's talking about the t-shirts. But yeah, we'll have some t-shirt videos soon. I'm gonna let Brandy, hopefully, if I can talk her into it, she's gonna handle the actual printing part because I don't plan to do that. I'm gonna let her do it. I'll just be doing the engrave for her and helping her kind of wrap her mind around the mechanics of doing multi-layer because it's the same with with that as it is with a laser. You have to have just different canvas, same position, and go. So I'll be trying to help her figure that out, but she's really excited about it, guys. And I mean, it excited me that she was excited about something that was the Clack Shack stuff, and she was really pleased with X-Tool for getting her something for a change instead of oh, there's a package today, and then she's like, oh, it's another laser.
Yeah.
So she was kind of excited about that. But
Yeah.
stay tuned, guys, and like I said, bear with me. I'm learning new things. I'm getting better at stuff, and trying to keep up with Steve with the toys, but I can't. Every time I think I've caught up with him, he just ran away. So hashtag Steve gets all the cool toys.
Hashtag David's got a rolly.
And Sam, if you want to use that hashtag Steve gets all the cool toys, feel free, because he does. He gets all the cool toys. And y'all go check out. Let's see who we have in here tonight. Sam Craft and Light Source.
Yeah, Piatrick with Light Source Engraving. So
yeah, y'all go check out their videos.
Check them out.
Yeah, y'all go check out their videos. Like I said, guys, it's not a competition out here. We're all here, hopefully, doing the same thing, trying to share what we do and share experiences with you guys, bring a little bit of knowledge from time to time. But if nothing else, we're just here to have fun. I mean, that's what the Shack was started for. I refuse to let the fun stop. So that's about it. That's all I got for tonight. Oh, no, I do not have an IKEA That was Steve that has the IQ K1. Hashtag Steve has all the cool toys. But no, I do not have an IQ, and it's not. It's X-Tool P2, longer B1 30 watt. Right now, Adam Stack X40 and the Lasermatic MK2. Those are my well, and the S1 was, but the S1's kind of had to move to the other to his big brother. But it's still S1's still a good machine. It's just not as I'm not using it as much as I do the P2 right now. I'm just gonna be honest with you, because I had the P2. If I didn't have the P2, it would still be where it was. But the P2 took its spot. They are similar in size, so that helped.
S1's a little bit smaller, but
I had to add about 4 inches out and 4 inches over of counter space. But luckily, I had leftover plywood from building that table, and that was an easy fix.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. And I'll try next week not to be so late getting the video set up. I just forgot about it until Steve messaged me today. So
yeah, I think we were both busy.
Yeah, go check out Sam at Light Source and see what they're up to. I got to go see where Sam is on this building because I've been trying to see what kind of stuff he does to his because I'm planning on building me one in about 20 months.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna see. I'm not like Sam though. I'm gonna have to just hire somebody to come in and do all that framing and putting up metal and roofing.
Oh, framing's fun.
I'm not good at it though, and I want to. I'll be put it together and tore it down 3 times because it'll be a quarter of an inch out of square or something. But anyway, y'all have a good one. Be safe and all that good stuff. Steve.
Yeah, we will. We'll catch you all next week. In the meantime, stay warm, and we'll see you online.
Have a good one.